How's it going, traders? Coming at you with our first deck highlight from the Extra Dimensional Crisis, featuring our pack face, the Buzzwole. I'd be really surprised if some iteration of this archetype wasn't incredibly competitive. This feels like a very clear cookie cutter. The devs intended these cards to be played together. So Buzzwole cracks for 120 damage for 3 energy, but it has this drawback where it can't use this attack again on the following turn. In enter Celesteela with its Ultra Thruster's ability can let you pivot the Buzzwole out of your active slot into either a Kartana or a Pheromosa, who has a 1 energy retreat cost, who you can then retreat back to the Buzzwole, allowing you to big beat every single turn. Kartana and Pheromosa also give us really energy efficient 1-point leads that can either put up 40 damage in Kartana's case or can start dealing chip shots to things on our opponent's bench, allowing us to have precision over the control and pacing of the game, with Cyrus letting us drag up things that we've dealt damage to and then finish them off with Buzzwole's 120 damage. The things I am definitely not certain on in this deck list are all of the various utility cards. How many Lucamines do you want to play? How many Cyrus, Erica, Capes? Do you need something like Communication for consistency, or should you be playing other more powerful cards like Red and others that can give you access to hitting breakpoints more consistently? At any rate, I hope you have fun with this new deck. I think you're going to be seeing a lot of it in the metagame because it feels quite powerful and it's slick to play with a lot of interesting lines, as you'll see in these games. If you enjoy, make sure you smash that like button for the rest of the day. Have fun with this one. We're in the little tiny scene the whole time, huh? Yeah, this type of deck feels like it's a really big testament to the fact that players don't build decks, the game designers build the decks. Because this deck is incredibly cookie cutter. These cards are these 8 Pokemon very clearly go together, etc. The things to make decisions around are which supporting cards are you playing alongside the cards that the designers very clearly intend for us to play together. Same for Guzzlord. I disagree that Guzzlord has a clear pre-built. I think there are Dark Ultra Beasts that you can play with Guzzlord, but Guzzlord's range, I think, is probably wider than Buzzwole's range. So we hit the Celesteela. How do we feel about clearing the back Froakie this turn with Cyrus? I think I'm kind of into it. Just like stop them from having another one. Do I want a Leaf Cape here? I think no. There's also an argument for Superior to get Buzzwole running sooner using Rare Candy. I mean, the odds of you having Buzzwole, Superior, Basic, and Rare Candy all together is really low. That sounds terribly inconsistent. I think we just take the 20 shot on the Snorlax here. This does mean they could finish us with Shuriken and then put 60 into this, but then Buzzwole with Lusamine clears the Greninja, and they can't bury and Cyrus in the same turn. It's a really, really solid one. Good catch. That would have been better, yeah. Berry plus Repel could get us. It definitely could, yeah. I have 2 grass energy in here, yep. And drawing the Kartana here is important because it means that I'll be able to big beat again next turn. Without the Kartana draw, I can't switch and then switch again. We do die to Berry plus Repel here though. That was a good call out because we're on all basics. I think I'm supposed to shuffle the Buzzwole just so they don't time walk us with other Pokemon Center Lady. And I should communicate this for my other Celesteela, because then we get around to Repel. Repel Berry. That also works. And now we can actually just bounce the Buzzwoles back and forth, big beating with Celesteela. With the, do I have energy in here? I have 1 in there. Why shuffle? Because Big Beat says you can't use this 2 turns in a row, but if you swap the Pokemon and swap it back in, you could Big Beat again. This is the pre-built part of this deck, is being able to shuffle with Celesteela plus a 1 energy retreat cost. Yeah, retreating for energy to use Lusamine is what we're gonna have to commit to our play patterns and think about a lot. I've been around since the Magic days. We actually played a couple of times at GPs and SCGs, and you crushed me both times. That feels like a different lifetime ago. Old time Magicer enjoying some Pokemons. Grass energy. I was gonna say probably a mirror, but it looks like not. Dig for some basics here. You know, I wonder if this was a spot where I was supposed to research first, just because I really want to maximize getting a Buzzwole. And we bricked on the Buzz now. I'll play out a couple of these to play around Mars and Red Car, but obviously we want this last slot on my bench to be dedicated to, a copy of Buzzwole. I'm gonna put the Celesteela up front because we can Ultra Thrusters it out for free, and I wanted to take the hit rather than Kartana taking the hit. Does Pheromosa add something unique to Decidueye EX? Ooh, that's an interesting one to think about. Yeah, that could be okay. The new baby Decidueye is solid as well. I like that one a lot. Crack in for 40 here. Seeing an opening hand like this, and how this feels to play makes me confident I should have Professor of Resource before I Pokeball to maximize my chance of getting Buzzwole, and it makes me think the copy of Pokemon Communication is probably pretty important, because our deck is a little bit limp without out the main Ultra Beast here. If you don't attach energy, does it go to the discard pile? It does not. It just goes away. Part of me wants to cape, because it means they need 2 heads if they hit their evolution, but it's also pretty likely to knock us out anyways. Oh, I forgot there was an Alolan Executor now too. Flip a coin, deal 150. That's so many damages. That's so many damages. Okay, and now with the energy on here, this means that I can big beat to clear this next turn with the Lusamine if they knock us out. And Magus, thank you for the 7 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Okay. Do you want to clear the bench basic? Yeah, maybe. I would put this into range 2. That might have been better, since I had the Lusamine. Let's Leaf Cape this dork. Drop another energy. Slide this out. So if they don't murder us here, I guess even if they flip coins with our all heads, we're fine because of that. And they only have 1 point from here, so I think the line is we Ultra Thruster out to the Pheromosa and then clean the Banu Suite while putting a chip shot on this. That way Big Beat can finish it next turn. I think I Erica here for good measure, just so I don't lose to a Stray Cyrus followed by triple heads. Bonus deck's an interesting combination. Obviously very coin flip variance, but having deal 150s on all one-pointers. It's kind of interesting. I think we just have both the Buzzwoles caped here. We've got one energy in the bin, so the other Buzzwole can be attacking next turn too. If need be. So they could have had Mallow here to full heal. Dead on board to Pheromosa running them down. A few ways to eat this Rhesus here, including the Cyrus in hand. I really like the foldable form factor on my mobile device because it lets me multitask. I'll have like Pokemon Pocket or Marvel Snap or DC Dark Legion or whatever mobile game I'm playing on one half of the screen, and I'll have Discord or scrolling through my YouTube stuff or doing something for work on the other half of the screen simultaneously. I will say I did pay, you know, upwards of $2,000 for my Samsung Z Fold 4 a couple of years ago, and the screen on it went out after less than 2 years. I currently have the One Plus open because I don't think I'll ever buy another Samsung product for a variety of reasons, including the screen going out after less than 2 years, but I've only had that one for less than a year at this point, so I can't testify to personally, is the screen actually going to meaningfully last longer or not? Kick the Pachirisu in the back here, soften it up for the Buzzwole. I read a lot of reviews on both the Google Foldable and the OnePlus Open that I eventually ended up getting, and there seem to be relatively positive things about both, but the OnePlus is the brand I'm more familiar with, and it was the more recent one to release and had a sale, so it seemed like everything aligned there that I wanted. What's the cost to get a semi-competitive deck in this game as a new player? So the problem with the Pokemon Pocket economy is I can't answer that question cleanly for you because there's a lot of variance in what you open in this game. If you open average or above average, it's quite cheap to get into, but if you run below average, it can get very expensive very quickly. How many years do you expect to keep new phones now? So my 3 children, my 4, 10, and 11-year-old, all have Android devices that are my old devices. I don't rent my phones and then trade them in because it seems obnoxious and wasteful. So one of the reasons I went with the OnePlus Open was because, like, my house has a OnePlus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, and 11 in it right now, I think, plus my OnePlus Open. And, like, literally all of those devices still work. And some of them released like a decade ago at this point. Modern mobile devices really don't get super meaningfully faster anymore. So like even ones that are a little bit old, the battery life is a little bit worse than them, but other than that, they're still pretty good. Oh no, they shuffled my Cyrus into a different Cyrus. How will I ever win the game now? I don't think I'd ever personally would buy a refurbished phone because of the thing that I just said about the battery life. The thing that really changes on devices as they get older is their battery life gets worse. So buying a refurb that's had the battery used for a long while sounds not very appealing to me personally. Alright, and then they're cooked by the Cyrus, right? We get to do that. Do the truffle shuffle here with the double Celesteela. They do the Buzzwole shuffle. Do 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 do. My beats are big and my shuffles are loud. What do you think is the best TCG game? I think the worst thing about TCG players is the obnoxious inherent tribalism that they constantly display. The idea that there has to be a best TCG game and not that there can be lots of different games that offer different gameplay experiences that are meaningful and good in different ways. All right, and then we're looking for a Celesteela here, yeah? So we can switch in the Kartana and crack this for 40. I'll take a big buzz, that's fine. Thoughts on the tariff changes? I think Fascist Grandpa is probably set to have a very normal, reasonable reaction to the courts telling him that his unconstitutional tariffs were unconstitutional. Letting him, I have to fire the judges now. Yep, something like that. The only real advantage to iPhone is that Apple supports their devices longer with software updates in my experience. So that's the big downside to Android, is you have to actually understand the company that you're buying into. Because, we're gonna murder this with a Cyrus here real quick. With Android, because anyone can do it, you could get a lot of low-quality Android devices out there because they're cheap and they don't see support for a while. Which is like I just said a little bit ago, I'd never buy a Samsung again after experiencing their software stack and their hardware, but I've been, buying OnePlus devices for over a decade now, and I'm pretty happy with those, and they have pretty long support lives and stuff like that. So you're right. You're guaranteed to know what you're getting with an Apple device because there's only one way to get an Apple device. But there's a much wider range of experience that you'll get with Android stuff by design. So this is a Solgaleo. Okay, and then with Lusamine here, I can crack the Solgaleo for 120 this turn. Would really like to draw a cape so we don't die to red, ideally. Just gonna get cooked by red here, unfortunately, but it is what it is. And then if they don't have the copy of red, we get to do the Celesteela Shuffle here and big beat them again next turn. Do you prefer the Buzzwole deck or the Guzzlord deck? So the Guzzlord doesn't have a clean-cut stock deck in my mind. We're gonna explore some of that today too. Like this Buzzwole deck, I think, is very clear cookie cutter. You're supposed to play these 4 Pokemon together, and they feel good and work well together. I don't think... I think Guzzlord has a lot more permutations that it can work with, essentially. Has a little bit more to figure out. I think this is something with this is assuredly good. Guzzlord's a little bit less clear. There's more to deck build there, I think. Starting with the easy one today.